Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I know I keep talking about abolishing federal holidays, in particular Thanksgiving. Every year, this time of year, I always think about the concept of abolishing Thanksgiving. And I want to talk about some bad experiences and why I keep bringing this up. I already talked about what happened when I was 11 years old. Go watch my last video about it. But that wasn't the only bad Thanksgiving that I ever had. So I started college part time when I was rather young. And so it was kind of a lonely experience. I was 13 years old, and most of my classmates were many years older than me. Obviously, obviously, dating was out of the question right at the campus. I really didn't date until I was almost done with college, and it was tough enough. And then you add on top of that having a week of not seeing my classmates. That was always tough. My parents took me to a Thanksgiving party that was mostly older people. They might have had young children, but nobody my age, right? Certainly, I was 13 years old, and there might have been other 13-year-olds, but you got to remember, my intellectual age was more like 20 years old at the time, right? Even to this day, I kind of have a little bit of a conundrum right now. So, I, I rarely meet anybody my age as an age on my ID, right? Because my intellectual age is up there and my physical age is down here, right? And so I meet a lot of younger and older people. I rarely meet anybody my age because it depends on what we're doing, right? If it's a physical relationship, they're going to be a lot younger. If it's an intellectual relationship, they're going to be a lot older, right? And so it creates a lot of drama. And so I was, at 13 already I ran into that challenge, right? I had the intellectual age of the college students at the college I was going to, but my physical age was still 13, right? Might not have been much younger than 13 at that point. I ran into a lot of drama there as a result. Now, I was 14 years old when 9/11 happened, and I developed a huge fear of flying. And the Thanksgiving just after 9/11 was one of the loneliest Thanksgivings I ever experienced because there was a lot of fear, a lot of confusion, a lot of the idea of the end of the world. I was 14 years old at the time. Am I going to go off to war in 4 more years? There's a lot of uncertainty. And then it was Thanksgiving. That was one of the loneliest Thanksgivings I ever experienced. I'd much rather have been stuck at school at that time of the year. Now, I swore I was never going to fly again after 9/11. And then 2 years later, Space Shuttle Columbia crashed. And now I really never was going to fly ever again. My parents had decided to take a trip to California that Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving just after Space Shuttle Columbia. I didn't want to go with them because, again, 9/11, Columbia, they were fresh in my mind. I stayed home. I had an eating disorder problem. I ended up eating myself sick that Thanksgiving. And I I didn't have a driver's license at the time. I was walking to the grocery store to get foods, to go home and cook and wolf down. And then I went back to get more. Eventually, I sat down at the bench at the grocery store and I collapsed. We live in a small town. The local police came by to make sure I was okay and all that. And our local police asked me to be honest. What was I using? Was I drinking? Was I using anything? I told them, yeah, it was food. And they refused to believe me. Thank God my dad was at the airport when all of this unfolded. They had just landed, and the police officer called my dad to confirm. And my dad said, yeah, my son sometimes has an eating disorder problem. And my parents were so upset at me for causing all this drama because they could have gotten in serious trouble for leaving me home like that. For this was about a week or so that they were away. And ever since I began my career, especially ever since I started teaching, I really despise Thanksgiving because I don't have a whole lot of connections. And a lot of times during the rest of the year, just before Thanksgiving, I'm seriously overworked, burnt out. And then Thanksgiving comes and it's like somebody hit the giant mute button on my life. And everything just goes quiet. There's nobody to even talk to. There's not even an echo when I speak sometimes. It just goes to show that I'd much rather have a different day off, right? Like yesterday when I was seriously burnt out, I could have taken that day off instead of Thanksgiving, right? This is really sad. Now, don't get me wrong. Am I ungrateful? Is that why I don't want Thanksgiving? No, I'm grateful. That's why I want to take it off whenever I want to take it off. And I'm grateful every day. Every day should be Thanksgiving, right? Sometimes we celebrate Thanksgiving by going to work, and other times we celebrate it by having a family meal, right? But it should be every day, right? And it shouldn't be Joe Biden's responsibility to tell us when Thanksgiving is and to take it off, right? Fuck Joe Biden in that regard, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.